So we are going to keep going on our wellness journey. I'm going to introduce our next speaker here. So our next speaker is actually going to go into equity of mindfulness. And then we have Mr. Curtis Smith. So Curtis is the founder of Movement of Mindfulness LLC. He is a mindfulness lifestyle methodology and company that brings mindfulness and social emotion educations to schools and companies all around the world. So we're very, very excited to have Curtis to join us today. And I'm so looking forward to learning as much as I can learn today. So welcome, Curtis.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going amazing. How's it going with you?
It's going really well, really well. So far, so good.
All right. Well, that's all we can ask for,
Having
so
me.
all right. It's all you, Curtis.
All right. So, hello, Image Nation. It's so great to be with you all. I'm excited for Wellness Awaits Summit, and we are here because today and all month is National Wellness Month, and we're hosting this event today in honor of that. And I want you all to make sure you stay tuned at the very end for the giveaway. And we're going to jump right into today's topic, which is equity through mindfulness. And before we do that, I want to actually get started by asking you to take a moment and just notice 5 things you can see right here, right now. Looking out, one of the best ways to cultivate mindfulness is tapping into the senses because they're always happening right here, right now. So what are 5 things you can see outside of your computer screen? I'm looking at cars outside my window. I see trees. I see my water bottle. And now I want you to notice 4 things you can touch and actually reach out and touch them here in this moment. I'm touching my desk. I've got my phone here. Got my mighty chapstick. And I have a crystal that I keep here on the desk. And 3 things you can hear. Take a moment and just notice, what are you hearing outside of my voice right now? Right now, I hear the fan in the background. Got to keep myself cool. I hear cars going by outside. And you may or may not hear my 22-month-old daughter screaming. She was upset that we had to get off FaceTime with my auntie. So she stopped. But if you hear screaming, I assure you everything's okay. And now I want you to notice 2 things you can smell here in this moment. What are you smelling? Right now, I'm smelling the soup that was just put on, smelling cabbage. And one thing you can taste here in this moment, I'm tasting that same soup that I just ate for an early breakfast. I'm in California, so I'm a little bit earlier here, and it is still technically morning time. So hope you had a chance just to allow yourself to be present. Again, the senses allows us to be here to what's happening right here, right now. And that's what mindfulness is all about. And a little bit about me, my story really quickly. Again, my name is Curtis Smith. I am founder of Moment of Mindfulness, which spells out mom. And I essentially created that company back in 2018. I started a school back in East New York, Brooklyn, and our focus was character education along with academics. And that allowed me to focus building character education along with the academics through mindfulness. And unfortunately, my mom passed away during the first year of the school back in 2014. And I utilized the tool of mindfulness as a way to honor her presence, to really center me in what I was doing with motivating the kids, and really me doing that allow other people to share their story because I wasn't alone in what I was going through. We all deal with loss. We all deal with pain and suffering. And so mindfulness is a great tool to help support us in our mental and emotional well-being. I have a master's in education. I love teaching. I will forever be a teacher because I love just the beauty of allowing people to know what exists inside of them and teaching them the beautiful tool of mindfulness because it is accessible. Also, I'm a current partner with Alchemy Health. I teach at Round Glass, and you can look at all that other information on my website, momentofmindfulness.com. But for now, we're going to dive deep into the session. And just a quick agenda. We did the welcome and introduction. We're going to go through a moment of mindfulness 3R experience so you can experience mindfulness for yourself. And then we're going to go through a deep dive, equity through mindfulness. And then we'll have time, hopefully, for some questions if you have any. If not, we'll wrap it up and close it out. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and jump into a quick mindfulness session. And with that, I love to play my music in the background. So if you will, I'm going to ask that you go ahead and find a point of stillness and just allow yourself to be here in this moment. And you can place your hands either down or up on your lap. Right now I'm sitting in the chair, but you can feel free to get comfortable and do what feels comfortable for you. And we're going to engage in a quick moment of mindfulness. As you find your point of stillness, I'll invite you to close your eyes, or if you choose to have your eyes open, just pick a point in front of you that's not moving and fix your gaze on it. And let us just take a moment to pause, be here right now. And let us take 3 deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Taking that first deep breath in through the nose and release slowly out through your mouth. Second breath in through your nose. And again, slowly release out through your mouth. Third breath, make it the biggest, in through your nose. And as slow as you can, release out through your mouth. Now allow your breath to flow freely, this time in and out through your nose. Just take a moment to relax and connect with your breath. You're not trying to control the breath. It's not about getting anything right. It's just about taking a moment to be with what comes natural. And it is our breath. Notice the pace of your breath. Are you breathing fast or slow? Maybe somewhere in between. Go ahead and relax your shoulders and jaw where we tend to carry a lot of tension. Notice where you may feel the breath and where it moves the body. You may feel the subtle rise and fall of your chest. You may feel the movement of your stomach as it too connects with the breath. Again, just breathe. There's no hidden agenda. We're connecting to the very thing that connects us all. And next, let us reflect and just begin to notice the breath in different parts of our body. Breath in the hair on our head, your teeth, noticing the breath in the top row, the bottom row. Notice the breath in your nails. Notice the breath in your lungs and feel as they expand and contract. And lastly, let us relate. Take a moment and think of somebody you love, somebody you're grateful for in your life. And the person that comes to mind, just take a moment and have one thought of gratitude or love. And see if you can put that thought on repeat. Connect to that energy. Connect to that gratitude and love. And if you find the mind wandering away, just bring it back to that thought of love. And you can make your way way back to your breath. Just take a moment and notice what there is to notice. Notice if you're breathing faster or slower, heavier or softer. And when you're ready, I'll invite you to open your eyes. Thank you all for joining me for what I call a moment of mindfulness. What we just engaged in was a short exercise that brought us here in the moment. And hopefully you feel the effects. And I'm almost certain if you were following that session, then you feel the effects. So what is mindfulness? Well, mindfulness is intention to cultivating awareness and returning to it again and again. We all know when we try to sit down and focus, at least for myself, my mind likes to wander away. Mindfulness is the act of noticing your mind has wandered away from what your desired focus is and allowing yourself to keep coming back over and over again. And it is the coming back that allows you to strengthen that focus muscle and to strengthen that mindfulness exercise. So it takes practice and it takes practice and it takes practice. You'll hear me say that over and over again because with practice, we become better. And so mindfulness is attention to what's happening right here in the present moment. Just as we started out at the top of the workshop, noticing the senses. The senses are happening now. Our breath is happening now. Mindfulness is the tool of cultivating our awareness so that we can be in the now. That is where we are our strongest. That is where we can do the most healing. That is where our well-being can be elevated, is right here, right now. And so the practice of mindfulness is when you do that and you have an attitude that's non-judgmental, it's curious, it's kind, we're observing. What is equity? And we're going to tie how mindfulness and equity work together. Equity is the quality of being fair or impartial, and it is justice according to the natural law or right, specifically freedom to really allow yourself to be engaged without bias or favoritism. And so when we look at that and we connect the two, we build them together. And equity through mindfulness, the practice that we just engaged in, mindfulness, naturally leads to equity. I know equity is a big buzzword, especially in the workforce, especially in communities, because equity is important for all. And with equity and mindfulness, when you practice, mindfulness can be that starting point to address racial and systemic inequalities in the workplace or in your personal lives because of its ability to support the individual, yourself, in engaging in self and social awareness as we begin to focus on introspection, compassion, and resilience. So the simple shift from individual well-being to a broader societal view conceptualizes mindfulness as a tool to help promote equity. So again, we start with ourselves to begin to understand what's happening inside of ourselves, what thoughts are we having, what biases may we be drawn towards, and we allow ourselves to just be aware. We don't know what we don't know. And with awareness, we can begin to know more about what we know, and we can begin to promote equity outside of ourselves as we grow our awareness. And so when you talk about equity in self-awareness, through the equity lens, self-awareness can help adults recognize biases and, like I said, understand how race and ethnicity can impact your self and personal identity. What does it look like? Well, self-awareness may look like identifying emotions. It may look like having an accurate self-perception. It's recognizing your strengths. It's self-confidence and self-efficacy. So again, that's what it looks like. What does it sound like? Well, it sounds like, how am I feeling? And it's taking the time to notice, how are you feeling? A lot of us are so caught up in the go, go, go phase because this world really requires us. But are we taking the time to notice how we're feeling? Are we taking the time to be present in the journey that we're taking? Self-awareness looks like, when am I at my best? Do you even know? A lot of us are running on fumes. I oftentimes see the image of a battery on low, and I know none of us would go outside of the house with our phones on low. So why are we leaving the house, and why are we operating in this world with our energy and our own human battery on the low end? We shouldn't. And there are tools and different things that we can do to help support and raise our energy and to help support our overall well-being. And mindfulness is one of many tools. So you again have to be self-aware and notice, am I operating on E? How can I allow myself to pick up my energy? Self-awareness looks like, when do I feel angry? Do we know? Are we taking the time to stop and recognize? Are we aware of what's happening and noticing when we're angry? And what stresses me out? These are different questions that you can ask to really gauge, are you aware of self? It sounds like a simple term, but again, the world recalls, or the world calls us to be so caught up in things going on outside of ourselves. Very few times are we taking the time to reflect and notice what's happening inside. So when it talks to broadening the awareness to not only self, but the social awareness through the equity lens, social awareness can help you navigate norms in diverse social settings. It can recognize issues of race and class in different settings. It can understand power dynamics and come up with ways to create positive climates that promote diversity. And I think that's what it's all about. We want to promote climates and really opportunities where equity can live. And again, if we're not taking that time to go inside and spend that time inside of ourselves, well, we're not going to have a solid foundation to create an equitable space or equitable community outside of ourselves. So it's super important that we take that pause, take time to connect what's happening inside of ourselves, because that is going to allow us to take the first step towards equity. What does social awareness look like? Well, it looks like perspective talking. It looks like empathy, appreciating diversity and respect for others. Again, are you able to put yourself in other people's shoes? And what does it sound like? Well, it sounds like you, again, taking yourself outside of your own self and asking, I wonder how that made blank feel. Are we putting ourselves in somebody else's shoes? How would it feel if I were in that situation? Again, taking the lens off ourselves and putting it on someone else and really asking those questions that really allow us to have a peek or sneak peek into what others may be going through. Social awareness can look like, what is blank? What is who thinking? It may look like, they seem sad right now. Maybe I should blank. And again, these are just different things and different ways to gauge how others are doing. And again, it takes us outside of our own situations. It also sounds like, thanks for sharing, as we listen to others and what their experiences is, and then sharing what our experience is. Because again, no experience is alike and we are all unique. So it's important to just listen and be open to what others are going through. And that takes a different lens. But again, if you're not aware and if you're not taking inventory of what's happening inside of yourselves, it's very hard to be concerned for others. And that, again, is what the practice of mindfulness allows us to do. So when it comes to mindfulness, the number one thing that we do in mindfulness is we begin by focusing on the breath. Why the breath? Well, the breath is the easiest tool to strengthen self and social awareness. You don't have to be taught how to breathe. You don't have to go anywhere to breathe. It's always happening. It's always accessible. It's just about you turning that lens inward and allowing yourself to pay attention to what's happening naturally inside of you. And that is our breath. The breath allows you to strengthen your awareness and your concentration, because it all starts with the breath. And with mindfulness, that being the foundation, again, it sounds simple. And a lot of times when I do my workshops and I tell people to simply focus on the breath, they respond back, okay, that's great, feels good, but what else? I'm super stressed. I need something more than just the breath. And oftentimes have to tell people to take a pause and take a step back, because the breath is enough. It's enough to keep us alive. It's enough to keep and connect us all together. So focusing on the breath is the number one tool to help support us in our overall well-being. And that's something that we have to sit with. And it's not something that you have to rush. Some people may be able to sit with the breath for 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 20 minutes. It's not a competition. It's about starting where you are and working your way from there. But it starts with allowing yourself to connect with our most powerful tool, which is in fact our breath. That is what's going to help you strengthen your self and social awareness. So quick exercise, because we want to be aware of what's happening with our breath and how is our breath supporting us during moments of stress. So what I want you to do is I want you to put your arms out, either out to the side or out to the front. And I want you to hold and just hold this position. And we're going to hold it for a couple seconds. Right now, it's probably no big deal. But in a moment or so, you're going to begin to feel the stress coming on. And what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and begin to notice what's happening to the breath as stress begins to come on to your arms. Just take inventory and notice what's happening to your breath. Continue to hold. Right now, I feel a little bit of stress coming onto the arms as they become a little heavy. And can you turn your lens inward? Begin to notice what's happening to your breath right here, right now. All right, right now it should start heating up. And just notice what is happening to your breath. We'll hold it here for about 15 more seconds. It's important to know what's happening and how is your breath responding to the stress. Do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, release those arms and shake it out. All right, what happened to the breath? Again, just notice and take note of what was your breath doing. Because with all of us, we have moments that start and we have moments that end. In a perfect world, when we have our moments and things happen, we want to respond in a cool and collected type of response. But what oftentimes happens is we're not centered and our responses are not cool. And we end up reacting off situations and regretting how we reacted to those situations. Well, again, the breath is the tool that helps support us in calming ourselves down, strengthening that self-awareness, noticing what happens inside. And the breath is what allows us to separate ourselves from the stress. And when you look at the nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system, it's the breath and controlling the breath that allows us to go in and out. So the parasympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight response, and the sympathetic is what's responsible for the relaxation. And what happens is a lot of us are easily able to engage in the parasympathetic branch, where if we need to turn up or we need to get a little bit more energetic, then we can do that. But it's the coming down. How are we allowing ourselves to get out of that phase of turned up or high energy when we need to relax? So the breath, again, is what allows you to navigate. When I'm out doing my teaching, I have to have a certain level of energy. And when I come home, my daughter and my wife doesn't need that Mr. Smith high on that energy. I need to allow myself to calm down and be in a better space. And that is when I access the tool of mindfulness, focusing on my breath to bring me down to a centered level. So what are the benefits? Mindfulness has many different benefits. Along with helping you strengthen yourself and social awareness, mindfulness, the same exercise that we engaged in earlier, helps reduce stress. It helps reduce rumination because our minds have a tendency to think about the things that are not so good. We did 9 things great and 1 thing bad. Our minds are going to gravitate towards that one thing that we didn't do that was so good, and it's going to ruminate over and over again. And we found that mindfulness helps reduce that rumination. Mindfulness, again, with the practice, helps you focus more. It helps you be less emotional in terms of your reactivity. Again, we want to really position ourselves not to react to things, but to proactively be ready for when these things come. Life has its ups and downs. We're going to absolutely deal with things, but you want to start developing a practice that allows you to deal with those things in a centered, in a cool, in a collective way. And again, it's a muscle. So if you're not practicing that, and when life comes your way, it's going to be important for you to have that strength, and you don't get that strength if you don't practice. Same way at the gym. If you're going to lift weights, if you're going to run and do cardio, Again, you're preparing yourself so that in the future, if you have to do anything athletic or if you have to do any type of lifting, you want to have your muscles prepared. Mindfulness and your mental well-being is the same way. We have to proactively do things that are going to help support and allow us to be ready when the time comes. The mindfulness helps with more cognitive flexibility. It helps with relationship satisfaction. Again, as you begin to notice what's happening inside of yourselves, you can then allow yourself to go outside of yourselves and promote healthier relationships. Mindfulness also increases your immune functioning. And again, that has a lot to do with the breath. The breath allows you to bring energy, bring air, bring life to your organs, and that in itself is healing. What you pay attention to has the ability to expand. So when we pay attention to our breath, we are expanding our healing from within. A lot of us are taught to go outside of ourselves to get the healing. Well, mindfulness is about, again, returning that energy inward and allowing yourself to connect to that natural sense of healing. So what mindfulness allows us to do, and again, tying it back to equity, is it allows us to get out of our heads. As you can see in our heads, there are things like anger, pride, jealousy, you got chaos. These are all things that are happening in our heads because our minds are going at 100 miles an hour and they are absolutely affected with what's happening around us. Well, mindfulness allows us to move from our head and it allows us to be connected closer to our hearts. And if you look in our hearts, that's where you find the love. That's where you find the unity, the gratefulness. That's where you find understanding and the peace. But again, it takes intention and it takes practice moving from your head to your heart. If you're in this day and age, 2022, living in your head, then trust me, you have some things going on that are not going to be pleasant. But you also have a heart and you have the tool to move from your head to your heart. And one of these tools is, in fact, mindfulness. So I'm going to encourage you to do just that. Move from your head to your heart with the tool of mindfulness. And that's what leads us to equity through mindfulness. Again, equity is allowing us to be fair, allowing us to be non-biased, and the very practice of mindfulness promotes that. And it can be the foundation to starting to build equity. A lot of us have these conversations with equity, and you want to start by talking, which is fine, but a lot of that work has to be done inward. Before you come to the table, before you're sharing your ideas, have you done the inner work? Have you done the introspection and reflection to allow yourself to know what's going on inside of yourself before you can begin to talk about how to make things equitable for others? So that is what I'm encouraging you all to do. And what can you do as we kind of bring this thing to a closing? What you can do is you can begin to incorporate mindfulness into your work or personal life. That means where you can begin to take small moments. Again, it's the small moments that really allow us to promote and cultivate our awareness. Many people think you got to go on top of a mountain, you got to go to all these different places to connect with yourself, when in fact you can do it right here, right now. You can do it on the go. Again, it's just about turning that lens inward and allowing yourself to first begin to have a relationship with your breath. Connect with that breath in its natural way, in its natural function, and that in itself brings the healing. You don't have to do anything else. Breath can be the therapist that always shows up for free. What else can you do? The breathing exercises go a long way. So it doesn't take long. If you got 5 minutes, as I mentioned before, maybe you only have 5 breaths. But the idea is you want to build a practice, you want to become consistent, and you want to allow yourself to begin to cultivate that awareness inside. We're so good at cultivating awareness at things, again, outside of ourselves. We're tapping into the streaming services. We're tapping into all sorts of things happening outside of ourselves. But are you taking the time to spin inward? Doesn't take a lot of time, but it does take intention, and you do need to be purposeful with your time. Take that time specifically to pause and recenter. Put it in your calendar. The same way you all showed up to this Wellness Await Summit, it popped up on my phone and reminded me that it was coming up. Start to put in breaks. Start to put in types of ways that you can connect with yourself in your schedule so that you can hold yourself accountable. And again, if it comes up and you only have that 1 minute, honor yourself and take that time, take that 1 minute to connect with what's happening inside of you. So with that being said, I want to end with another short mindfulness session. And again, the idea is to make this accessible. We want to make this practical. And that exactly is what mindfulness does, is it makes it accessible because we're focusing on what's happening right here, right now. So I'm going to ask that you take a moment, find a pause, find a point of stillness. I'll invite you to close your eyes. And again, we always begin with the breath. So go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose and release out through your mouth. Second breath in through your nose and release slowly out through your mouth. Third breath, make it the biggest, in through your nose. And again, release as slow as you can out through your mouth. Now allow that breath to flow freely. This time in and out through your nose. Just take a moment to connect with your breath as it naturally comes and goes. Again, there's nothing to get right here. And if you find the mind wandering away, it means you're human. It's perfectly normal. Without judgment, just allow the awareness and attention and focus to come back to the breath. Notice where you may feel that breath and where it moves the body. And I'm going to ask that you place your right hand on your chest, your left hand on your stomach. Just feel that breath. And when you're ready, I'll invite you to open your eyes. And I want to thank you for your time and thank you for joining me. Again, my name is Curtis Smith. You can follow me on Instagram, Mr. Curtis Smith. You can check out my website, momentofmindfulness.com, or you can email me at mrsmith@momentofmindfulness.com. And I want you to make sure you stay tuned to the next session. And we're going to talk about my giveaway, which I'm going to be offering an extended mindfulness session. This one is going to have all the bells and whistles. I don't think the music came on for this session, no problem. But in the giveaway, you will have a 30-minute session for you or your team of up to 50 people. And we're going to engage in the beautiful tool of mindfulness. This will include movement, and you'll walk away feeling more relaxed, and you'll walk away feeling your power. So I look forward to offering that giveaway to you all. And again, I want to thank the whole Image Skincare team and thank Wellness Awaits Summit for having me. I appreciate you all.
All right. So that was amazing, Curtis. Probably like one of my favorite parts is because when I try to meditate or have my mindfulness moments, my brain goes everywhere. So I love that you said that that was just human, and then I can let that go and not judge it and keep moving forward. So thank you for that. I'm going to have to remind myself of that.
Yes, it's a constant practice. Keep coming back.
I got to keep coming back. So I have to remind myself of that whenever I am meditating. So if you guys want to continue on with your mindfulness and meditation, make sure that you are reaching out to Mr. Curtis at all of his places that he said you can reach out to him. And then I do have a lucky winner. So again, to remind you of what you are winning a 30-minute guided virtual mindfulness session. So all the bells and whistles, as Curtis said, and this could be for yourself, for personal for you, or it could be for your team of up to 50 people. So I feel like this would be an amazing team building. So maybe even if your team is your family or your friends, I feel like this would be something amazing that if you could share it with somebody. So my little drum roll, and let me go to my, so I have Lori Yoshida. So Lori, our
Congrats, Lori.
yeah, hi. Lori, our global events team is going to reach out to you. They're going to connect you with Curtis, and then you are going to engage in some mindfulness. So thank you for that amazing gift, Curtis. And Lori, congratulations. And I'm a little bit jealous, girl. So I might have to reach out separately to figure out how to control my little monkey mind that I have sometimes. So thank you so much for that session. I took a ton away from it. And of course, guys, don't forget, we also have our image giveaway that we are going to do as well. So again, it's going to include all of our amazing products. So we have our Restoring Power C Serum, our Prevention Plus Primer, and then our Ormetic Balancing Lip. And for that, I have Tiffany Yip. So Tiffany, congratulations. You are on your way to maybe not mindfulness, but you can mind your skin. So we are going to give you some amazing things to take care of your skin. So thank you, Curtis. It was amazing having session with you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So
All right.
in our chat, guys, we did get a few questions, and I definitely want to address those questions for you. And if you weren't able to enter your question into the chat for some reason, the chat is open. So we do have a few questions. So one of the questions I had was a really great question about airplane travel and which products for airplane travel. The world is finally open back up, right? So nobody wants to sit at home. So a few things. As you're going in and shopping, I definitely suggest that you look at any kind of trial kits or discovery sizes. So these are our kind of smaller TSA friendly sizes that you can take with you that are going to last you through a really cool, like weekend, a week long getaway where you don't have to worry about you're going to pack up your bigger size of products. So any kind of our trial kits, we have them in all of our collections for all skin types, and then discovery sizes as well. So we have a lot of really very TSA friendly, very easy to pack, very easy to use little kits that you can take with you. And then I also recommend, I know Jana talked about it, and our sheet mask. Our sheet masks are amazing. They travel really well. If you know me, you know I love a good mini bar. So right there beside the champagne in the mini bar, I keep my sheet mask. I like to cool them. They hydrate the skin. They stay on the skin. If you're tired, if you're jet lagged and you feel like your skin is looking a little bit dull, then that is not only amazing to use immediately after your travel, but I've been known to use them on my kind of international flights too. So lucky person sitting next to me gets to see me in a sheet mask. And if they ask a lot of questions, I share and give them a sheet mask too. And sometimes it stops them from talking to me so I can watch my movie. So there are some travel things. And of course, we cannot not talk about our new MD Restoring Eye Mask. So you can get a little bit puffy, you can get a little bit dry, you can get tired. I know I spend a lot of time on my laptop or my devices or watching movies on a plane, and sometimes that even makes my eyes tired or look tired. So the MD Restoring Eye Masks are amazing. Again, they're cooling, they're anti-aging, they're refreshing, and just 15 minutes with those on changes your eyes. Here's another pro tip. I don't know if Jana shared this, but I've used these over those little lines around my lips. So the eye mask work really well there. And also for your nasolabial fold. So if this looks like it needs a little bit of pick me up and a little bit of hydration, then that is another little pro tip for those eye masks. So many things that you can do with them. And look, I'm going to keep telling you guys about this until you get tired of me. You can pack up if you're going on a train. Don't you need a duffel bag? You need a duffel bag to take on the plane with you. You can put all of your weekend essentials. You can put all of your skincare essentials. We are going to give this to you guys for free. We have a limited amount of these. We actually made these special for our Wellness Awaits event. So these are not something that we have all of the time. These are just for you. So you can pack these up with all of your favorite skincare, everything that you need to go on the plane. It is free. So when you shop today, if you spend $100, it is free. You need to add it to your cart. You need to add the code wellness22 and you will be able to shop for this. Let's see. I had another question as well. So this is regarding ingredients and which ingredients play very well together. So one of the questions was if I'm using vitamin C, which is probably a best loved hero ingredient, can I also use retinol, which is I call that the gold standard in anti-aging when we're speaking of ingredients. And the answer to that off the top of my head is absolutely yes. Image products are all designed and formulated to be able to play well together so that you can mix and match and layer your hero ingredients. We do at Image have one exception to that rule. So our brand new hero serum, which is the MD Power C Restoring Serum, has a very concentrated form of oil soluble vitamin C. And retinol is also an oil soluble powerhouse ingredient. And if you take those two products, like that Power C with retinol, those two oil soluble ingredients, they play too well together and they may cause a little bit of irritation. So any of our vitamin C's, which is every other vitamin C, that's a mix of water and oil soluble vitamin C, loves retinol. They're on the playground, they're swinging, they're pushing each other, they're doing a great job. But if you take our Power C, which is just oil soluble with that oil soluble retinol, they don't necessarily love each other. So that's the only exception to the rule. Besides that, everything is really formulated to be able to work together. So I'm trying to see just really quickly in the chat if we had any other questions, but we did not.